gave the African American community bad advice in her songs, okay? And just like a public disclaimer or announcement, I'm not trying to put Beyonce down because I like the fact that she has the beehive. I like the fact that she has her own hairline. And I like the fact that she's a billionaire and she's doing the best that she can do for herself. But let's just talk about collectively as a whole in the African American community. Did she give good advice to African American women? Okay? Because she said, all the women independent, throw your hands up at me. And then she also sung, a scrub is a guy who thinks he's fine, also known as a buster. And then and sits on his broke self. So no, I don't want your number. No, I don't want to give you mine. Okay. And so she was just letting a lot of people know, like, don't deal with any scrubs or basically guys that don't have any money. So the average African American male doesn't have that much money. And so you may not have much to choose from. So it caused a lot of friction in the African American community in the household. So a lot of couples split up because of her songs and the advice that the songs was giving her or giving them. So she would be singing like, for example, to the left, to the left. It was a great song. I remember hearing that it was supposed to be a country song at first. And the fact that she was just like, to the left, everything you own in the box to the left. And just basically telling you to, once things get hard and tough in a relationship, just throw it all away. Give up and move on, or whatever the case may be. I don't even think that was good advice for our community because you had a lot of couples splitting up over that song. You had a lot of people that didn't weather the storm and stay in their relationships and try to maintain their marriage because she gave that advice in her songs, like to the left, to the left. And I love those songs that she was making, like, oh yeah, I am independent, y'all. I was all happy and stuff, but I think to myself, like, that's the reason why I was independent and single for a long time. Because she was, saying, throw your hands up at me, like you can do everything by yourself. You're an island and you're strong and you don't really need a man. So I was just going off of the lyrics of her song. Like, I'm independent. I don't need no man, or, he's a scrub. That was, everybody was saying, oh, he's a scrub. You don't need that scrub. And so her songs were starting to resonate and get like ingrained in the spirit of a lot of African American women. And those songs did not resonate with other cultures. So they weren't saying, to the left and, you're a scrub and all this kind of stuff, or, all these different things. Words are most powerful tool God gave us. Yes, that's true. And so, and if you hear it to a tune over and over, you unconsciously, you start telling people, well, you're a scrub. Just because, that person was walking one day or they took the bus one day, now all of a sudden we have categorized the whole community as being a scrub. And I mean, I love Beyonce, the beehive and what she's doing and she has going for herself. But I was like, she didn't even follow her own advice. For example, hear me out because I know I don't want to get stung by the beehive, okay? She went out and found herself Jay-Z and settled down and got married, right? Okay, and so at the same time, I think she was making that one song that was I think it was To the Left. I forgot which song it was, but basically it was telling you don't need a man, okay? That's why you have a lot of single parents in the African American community. So she's saying these things in her song, but doing the opposite in person. Saying like, oh, you need to leave him. He's no good. You can find another one or what that. Y'all know the lyrics of the song, okay? Yeah. to the left, everything you own in the box to the left. And, in the closet. And she's saying, that's my stuff. She bought everything. She did everything. And then, something, hurry up for your taxi leave. So, and she was basically kicking the guy out the whole song and telling him how she's a fool or something, like she'll never find somebody like him or whatever the case may be. All right, so I'm not saying that you can't find anybody else and you can't move on. But if you're going to give advice but not follow it and have a whole group of women following what you say and paying to see you and putting all their effort and their extra energy into your song and your like philosophy and what you're putting out there, that's not right, y'all. Because to me, I'm like, okay, if I give some advice to somebody, if I'm not willing to follow it myself, then I feel like don't give it. Don't give that advice if you're not willing to follow it yourself, okay? And I would say that for anybody. If you're making a song or you're giving advice to somebody, if you're not willing to do it yourself or you didn't do it yourself, please don't give it out, because you have a lot of people following behind you. And she had a massive amount of following, okay? If you're a billionaire, you got a massive amount of people behind you that are very loyal to your cause. And you have to be careful what you put out there. Because some people really felt like, okay, well, this man didn't, pay all my bills. Can you pay the bills? And if you can't pay the bills, I don't think you're through. I sung it wrong way, but you know what I mean. Y'all remember that song? So you and me are through. So yeah, she had us thinking like, okay, well, if he can't pay all my bills, then what is he here for? And started making people think like, okay, that's the only thing that a man was good for. And hey, how's it going? How y'all doing? And so, all those songs that she made that was crushing the African American man, crushing the African American, like, relationships. Can you pay my bills? He's a scrub. He thinks he's fine. And it was another one. I was watching these and listening to these videos from high school all the way up to college, and then part of my adulthood, okay? Because she's been around for quite some time, y'all, okay? She's been around for when she was like a teenager all the way up to an adult. She's married and has some children. But you have to think of the message that she put out there. It was almost like it was grooming. They said that she was groomed for that position, but she groomed African American females into thinking that they don't need a man in the household. If he can't pay the bills, if he was a scrub, and if he was, didn't want you to be independent, and you couldn't throw your hands up at me and get her video or her tape or her CD. Because I'm telling y'all, I had the CDs, y'all. I bought into it. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'm independent. I don't need nobody. I'm going to throw my hands up at you, and I'm going to buy all these CDs and stuff. And I had to think to myself, like, okay, she wasn't even doing those things that she put out there. And that really, really hurt the African American community and females, that were about to get married and about to settle down and about to, form a family unit, fell apart. Because she was like, to the left, to the left. Then when, Jay-Z did what he did, she didn't say to the left of him. Okay, so I was really upset. Like, why did she say that? Girls in baseball hats are sexy. You. Oh, thank you. So that's why I was really surprised. Like, I mean, I can't put on like Beyonce. I'm sorry, y'all. She said her wig cost $3,000. Listen, I'm sorry. I can't do all that, but I do the best that I can do. But I'm just saying too, like, I was really upset. And every time I think about like all those songs that she put out there that crushed your confidence in having a good, stable relationship, those songs are still out there. And then it's like a lot of stuff going on that's saying like, be careful what you listen to, because you do. You have to be careful, because when you listen to this song called I Don't Want to Scrub, or if he can't pay my bills, he can't pay my bills and telephone bill. And then you start to think like, okay, I pay my own telephone bill, and I pay my own car note and my own. So, why my man can't? So you start to question and say things that don't even have nothing really kind of to do with a relationship. I'm just gonna be honest, because I mean, before there was bills, do you think somebody was, preaching these things or requiring these things from their husband? Probably not. It's like it was put into your mind. I'm gonna say like brainwashed. I'm not saying that all women were brainwashed by it or whatever the case may be, but I do think that has something to do with the way that relationships were going in the African American community. Okay. I don't know about other communities, because I know that they said that she was banned in other countries, that she could not perform in, is it Dubai? It was one of those Arabian overseas, where she had a performance and she was supposed to be performing live at a concert, and they banned her because she wouldn't cover up, and they was paying her money. They wanted to pay her millions to cover up, and she said no. And to me, I was like, okay, now I thought you was all about your money. Bills, bills, bills. And so you confusing me, okay? Are you going to get the money and cover up, or are you going to preach this? Why are you doing the opposite all the time? Okay, you say you're going after the money, you need the money, money, money. Then why don't you just cover up so you can get your money? You know what I'm saying? That situation happened a long time ago. But if you follow the Beehive and you know all those things, the case, and you follow Beyonce, you know what happened. It was a long time ago. I don't have any facts on it. I just heard it word of mouth, like I do pretty much almost everything until this internet came along. And now we got social media. It'll come up on your feed on your phone now. But before, you had to turn on the TV and wait for the news or wait for something like a breaking news, and then you found out, okay? But I'm just saying, I follow Beyonce since she was like younger, all the way up when she was wearing braids, and she probably couldn't afford to get no, blowout and press out. Okay, everybody was wearing braids. Even Alicia Keys started off wearing braids. Okay, the budget was low when you have to start off with braids. Then when you work yourself up, you get the full press, and you might get some extensions and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, I want to say, once she got up there, once she started to blow up, once she had so many followings and all these people behind her, and a strong following, and a really solid foundation, her message changed, y'all. Okay, she went from pay my bills, you would, a dusty or a scrub, and to the left, to now she, let me cater to you. I'm like, what? Okay, now what's going on? Or then she had ring the alarm. Okay, hold on now. She, because I think Jay-Z, when cheating on her, she like, ring the alarm. I'll be doggone if she gonna see another chick on his arm. And so it was just like, we went through a lot of ups and downs and turmoil, and I think we went through her whole, like, probably lifespan with her. So if you ever saw somebody, have a child young, and they say, oh, you grew up with that child, or you're the child's best friend, or whatever case may be, we was with her when she was a child all the way into adulthood, where she started to metamorph into a different person, where, she don't need nobody or don't need a man. Now all of a sudden she's catering to the man, and he can have this, and this is my man, and he's my soldier. And so I was confused. I was just like, I know she's doing it for entertainment, but I'm like, listen, I need, entertainment that's going to teach me a lesson and keep me, grounded and solid as a woman, all the way from when I'm younger, all the way to when I get older. And you have some artists out there that they taught a lot of lessons with their songs, and they also did the opposite in their personal life as well. Because I don't want to bring up Alicia Keys, but that situation, I was following her. I was feeling her songs. All of them made me feel like, okay, she was out for love. She was out to let you know that you're gonna go through some trying times in your relationship, but stick it through. But then come to find out, she stole somebody else's man. So sometimes I'm just like, don't make all these songs and try to serenade me and trick me into thinking that you got it all good and everything's, all good in Hollywood, and then some mess start rolling out. I'm like, to me, I'm like, I'm very consistent and loyal. I told y'all that before. I'm loyal and I am consistent, okay? What you see is what you get. You're not gonna watch this video today and come 10 years later and then it's like, okay, well, she never did listen to Beyonce or she never did listen to Alicia Keys. No, if I say that in my spare time, I have listened to these artists, and in my spare time, more than likely 10 years from now, I might at least scroll by their picture or at least listen to a couple of their songs to show my support. But other than that, I had to leave Beyonce alone for a little while because her message was confusing me, okay? Throwing me off, and I'm pretty sure if other people followed her, they didn't know what was going on either. Because I know me and a couple of people at my job, they were just like, listen, I'm going to go to the Beyonce concert for one last time. Because the last time she had a concert, the tickets was $300. I said, okay, all right, I'm about to the left to you. Okay, because you're charging me $300 to listen to the same songs I done listened to since I was in high school. All right, so I mean, I could be a little bit upset because of the prices of her what's that thing? Why everybody try to call me when I get on the live? I have to say, listen, don't call me or text me. I'm going live. Everybody, and let me call you real quick, or let me say something real quick. I'm like, oh my God. So I have to get off of here because, like I said, people gonna start calling me and texting me, and they feel like I'm not Beyonce. I'm just a regular person, but my phone be blowing up all day, y'all. I want to do a quick little live and say what I need to say and get off of here, and then everybody want to call and text me. So I gotta go. Pew, 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 pew.